Well, hello again, and welcome back to the Smart HVAC Marketing Podcast, where we believe the best idea wins, and we're here to help you generate lots of good ideas. And to do so, we got to bring on smart people like Ryan Fenn from CHIIRP.
How you doing?
Doing great. Generate lots of good ideas here so that you all can build a world-class business. I just made up that tagline. So
That's pretty good.
no standard intro or outro around here. I kind of just make it up each time.
Mhm.
Ryan, how's it going?
It's going good. It's going really good.
Oh, that's awesome. Glad to hear that. Well, for everyone tuning in, this is our final recording that we are doing at the Women in HVACR event. This has been a really good time. I appreciate them inviting us out to record podcast episodes here. And so I think this is going to be a good grand finale to talk to Ryan today about automation for the shoulder season, membership sales, integrations with Service Titan, all that good stuff. So Ryan, why don't you take it away, introduce yourself, tell the listeners out there kind of how you got your start in the industry, and we'll kind of go from there.
Sure. Thank you so much. Yeah, like I said, my name is Ryan Fenn. I'm the CEO here at CHIIRP. That's CHIIRP. Don't forget the second I if you're checking it out. My story goes back 40 years ago. No, I'm just kidding. No, about I actually didn't start in this industry. I started my first business about 12 years ago. My brother and I started a windshield repair business. We were out there fixing windshields. And we got pretty good at what we were doing. We got to where we had scaled it up to where we had like 9 different locations. And around then I kind of had this kind of crossroads where I could keep scaling this business or try to take it more globally with like an offer to help people build their own windshield repair businesses. So I started putting together a training program. I put together this training program over a year, did videos. This is back before making courses was cool. And in 2015, I launched that course. And it started to sell like crazy. I was selling it using automation. I was figuring out how to piece together automation, and I made like $2 million selling this course.
Wow.
And I saw that the process I was using to automate my sales process was, and I was duct taping together a lot of stuff, to make it work. And I thought, man, if this works so well for this, I should probably try to take this pattern of helping other entrepreneurs and go, let's put a software together that makes this sales process possible for all businesses. And that's when we got the idea to start CHIIRP. We started about 4 years ago. And we were like, hey, let's sell this to anybody and everybody. And people came along, and then as home services started to use it, we started to really see some awesome benefits from it, and a lot of people having a lot of success with it. And we started to integrate with Service Titan, House Call Pro. We just finished the integration with Jobber, Service Monster. Sarah is almost done as well. But as we started to build those integrations, we started to really take off in the home service industry, and that's how we got here.
So just from like a high level view, what does CHIIRP do?
Yeah. So automation, can mean a million different things, right? We focus on communication automation. We want to make sure that the customer is having an awesome experience from a moment they become a lead all the way through the entire customer journey. We want to automate the outreach so that, you're converting more leads on the front end. You're communicating more effectively the moment that a lead becomes a lead. We're following up consistently with every single lead, every single estimate using text messaging, email, and ringless voicemail. And then we want to make sure that after a job is complete, that all of the communication is done for you from all the way from the review request to, filter change reminders throughout the year, all the stuff that can nurture a customer and maintain them so that when it's time to rebook, it's a no-brainer. They get a text message, hey, it's been 12 months since your last service. Let's get you back on the schedule,
Yeah. Yeah, you hear automation thrown around so much these days. I personally love Zapier.
Yep.
I use the heck out of that for everything, but it can really mean a lot. So like, what are like the top 2 or 3 ways that contractors can utilize automation or, a tool like CHIIRP to stay busy?
Well, let's talk about, being more intentional with your automation, more laser focused with your automation. That's one of the big problems that, people have, because these systems don't communicate, you have Zapier to bridge the gap between softwares, but a lot of times there's a lot of stuff that's lost in between those two things. So you're only able to kind of do general automations. So we took it really deep into Service Titan. We took it really deep into House Call Pro, really deep into Jobber, and doing the same thing with Sarah as they continue to improve their product. But the key is we want to be able to trigger automation at the exact right moment with the exact right customer. We don't want to blanket communicate with everybody exactly the same way. Every job is different. We want to treat them differently based on different things that are happening within the CRM. Okay. So for example, let's say you trigger an estimate to go out in Service Titan. We want to follow up with that estimate if it doesn't close. And a lot of businesses are not doing that. They're picking up the phone maybe once, maybe picking up the phone twice to follow up with an estimate. Yeah. And then it's gone. They lose, they lose that opportunity that may have converted had they been a little more assertive with their follow-up, right? Yeah. But it's really hard to do. It's a lot of work if you're going to do it without automation. Following up consistently with every single lead can be, it's like a full-time job, And so, but you don't want to follow up, for example, with your high ticket items the same way you would follow up with a low ticket item. It's a different cadence, different sequences. And so what we do is we go into Service Titan and we say, okay, if an estimate is sent and it has this job type or this business unit, this line item, this tag, this technician, this invoice value, whatever, all these different filters, I can choose and say, then do this campaign. Does that make sense? Yeah. And then I say, but if it has this line item or if it has this job type or this, invoice amount or whatever it is, do this campaign. And now I can custom tailor, these campaigns for very specific job types that we're doing. Yeah. So
with awesome things like automation, there's still got to be a human element to that, right? So like the CSRs and the dispatchers and, whoever's in the Service Titan still has to tag the job or the estimate. What happens or I guess let me back this up. How should contractors go about communicating the value of properly marking things in Service Titan for different automation campaigns?
Yeah, that's clearly a challenge, that you got to take. We're definitely not eliminating the human element entirely. There's definitely a need to maintain your database, and it's definitely something you should heavily train on so that you are specifically doing that. But if you do, that little thing can mean very big things, very big returns. And by, we talk about that. We never want to completely automate out the human being from this process. Yeah. We want to give the human being superpowers to do more and accomplish more. So we're not trying to get rid of people's jobs. We're trying to make them more effective in their jobs. And when I say that, we can do things like, these text message follow-ups that are going out, or these email follow-ups. It's, mostly text messages. We have a 98% read rate on text messaging, so it's the most effective way to communicate. But the key here is that we're trying to trigger conversations. We're not trying to close deals. We're trying to trigger the conversation. So for example, a text message might go out. I can't tell you how many times I'll have somebody comment in our group that'll say oh man, a 3-week follow-up just went out and the guy responded and said he's ready to go. No companies aren't following up 3 weeks, 4 weeks later without automation. And then when that person pops back up and they say, yeah, sorry, I've been sick. I just had a guy say that he got like $100,000 job closed from a 3-week follow-up. The guy had gotten sick, started ignoring his initial text messages from the estimate. A 3-week follow-up went out and said, hey, it's been a few weeks. Haven't heard back from you. Just wanted to make sure before I close this estimate out if you had any questions. And the guy said, oh, I'm so sorry. I was sick. Totally forgot. Let's revisit. And then they got back on the phone. Of course, he didn't close the deal from that text, but it re-triggered the conversation. Yeah. It's able to get him back on the phone and close the deal.
Yeah. So when we're talking about that, rehashing leads, because I'm sure there's so many contractors out there that have millions of dollars of unsold estimates just chilling,
just sitting there
in their CRM. Yep. So what have been some success stories that you've seen from contractors implementing automation in campaigns like that?
Yeah. So let's talk about, I just actually did a podcast with Dustin Miller. He owns Comfort Now in California. Super cool guy. One one of the ways he talks about how he keeps his shoulder season fully booked throughout the year using CHIIRP. Or not throughout the year, through the shoulder season.
Yeah.
But so one of the automation campaigns that he does is it's a blend of ringless voicemail and text messaging. And the way that he does this is going to sound super simple, but this has booked him millions of dollars in jobs over the last 3 years. So he reaches out to customers that he has not serviced in a year or more. He sends, and this is all something done automatically. A voicemail goes out. If you're not familiar with ringless voicemail, it's where it's just sending a voicemail right to the phone. So they see their phone, they see that there's a voicemail, and they listen to it. And basically what he says, hey, it's Dustin with Comfort Now. I first wanted to say thank you so much for being a customer of Comfort Now. I just wanted to let you know it's that time of year again. Right now we have 50 available slots for a deep discount on our tune-up. It's only $49. If you'd like to take one of those slots, just text me back on this number or call me back. And that goes straight to their phone. It's all automatic. They listen to that, and he says it blows me away every single time I do that. I just get calls back. Hey, Dustin just tried to call me. I want to get one of those slots. And then for those that don't book, 10 to 15 minutes later, he has a text message go out that says, hey, my boss Dustin. So it's like it's coming from the CSR at this point. It says, hey, my boss Dustin just left you a voicemail about these $49 tune-ups. We still have some slots left. Would you want to snag one of those spots? And then they'll get texts back. Yeah, let's do it. And then he does one more follow-up a day later that says, hey, just want to let you know we're about out of those spots. Just wanted to follow up one more time, see if we could get you on the books. That simple 3-step campaign, voicemail, text message, has booked millions of dollars in sales during the shoulder season. He talks, and we talk about this a lot. During shoulder season, marketing is not, it's hard to spend money in the shoulder season on marketing. People aren't anxious to get their stuff worked on, right?
Yeah.
It's not hot, it's not cold. And so you need to take advantage of your existing database, what you already have, get those people, the low hanging fruit that you already have in your database with that. So that's one of 1,000 different automations we can talk about. That was extremely effective. So
yeah. I mean, shoulder season, because it's November 4th and it's 57 degrees in Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah.
So I'm sure
they're not calling about the air conditioner.
I'm sure the air conditioners are just breaking down left and right now,
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, I think like shoulder season in particular, so many contractors, I feel like they don't throw in the towel for the year, but they kind of just like, it's a mindset of it's just shoulder season. It's going to be
slow, and they kind of just start, just ready for it.
But
it doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be like, a $49 tune-up isn't that's a loss leader in most cases.
Oh yeah.
But
it's to sell
it's going to be a huge loss leader if you just treat it like a $49 tune-up.
Yep.
Rather than just an opportunity to keep your people employed and busy.
Well, and from that, he's booking, replacements and everything at that point. It's all really just a loss leader to generate a lead for a potentially bigger opportunity for sure.
Yeah. So what are some common challenges that you see contractors facing when it comes to automating follow-up and stuff like that?
So one of the big things that people have a problem with is taping together multiple systems. And that's where, you talked about Zapier and it's you got to have a tech degree to figure some of this stuff out, and that's where we kind of stepped in and said, hey, you know what, if we create this directly, this can be a lot easier to do. And then if we provide the service of building these automations for clients, that's, something that we offer so that they're not having to figure this stuff out on their own. Cause this is like full on nerd stuff,
Yeah.
So, and these HVAC guys are like, I'm not a nerd.
Yeah.
So that's where my team of nerds steps in and helps with the process. But the key for us has been the very direct integration, so that you're not having to duct tape together a million different systems and you're not having to change what you're doing. So when we trigger an automation, it's not something you're going in and saying, okay, I just sent an estimate out. Now I need to trigger the follow-up. Just by virtue of sending out the estimate, you've triggered that follow-up to start. And so you're not changing your process. You're still doing what you would normally do in Service Titan, and CHIIRP's just responding from that. So I'll give you an example. This is, again, back to Dustin Miller. One of his estimate rehash campaign problems was he had a follow-up system that was separate, and this follow-up system would go out over 2 weeks, and it would send text messages over 2 weeks to try to get an estimate to convert. And the problem is because the two systems didn't communicate, he had to remember, if somebody booked the job from the follow-up, he had to remember to go in and shut down that campaign. And if he forgot, the customer that had booked would then get another follow-up. Hey, do you want to follow up on that estimate? You want to get that estimate done? And that was a problem, because they'd be like, I already booked. And especially if he started to offer a discount later towards the end, then it's like, hey, do you want to, I'm offering a 10% discount right now. And they go, well, I booked yesterday, but I'll take that 10% discount. It's like, oh, shoot. So the key is that the systems need to communicate both ways, to start and then to stop at the appropriate times as well. So, and again, this is all total nerd speak, right? But that's what we help with. So we don't just say, hey, here's our software, good luck. We're here to implement and help you with automation through the whole process.
Yeah, there's a lot of softwares out there that do that.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like, thank you for your purchase.
Yep. And then you never hear from them again. Yeah, you go in our CHIIRP user support group, and we have everybody talking about it. We have our expert automation pros that are there to like build stuff for you. Whenever you go, oh, I have this cool idea, I want to set it up. I actually I just had a really cool one that I want to share about memberships. Do we want to go down that path now?
Oh yeah, let's hit it.
So membership sales are obviously something that is a hot topic. Some people like them, some people don't. But the selling memberships is always a problem, because you're trying to train technicians to sell something, and generally technicians, unless you have some of the few that are really good, most of them are just technicians. They're not sales guys, right? And so we talk about framing, sales framing, and getting the conversation right so that the technician can actually sell. And this process is, I think, going to be really, really killer. It's fairly new that we kind of came up with this, but you can. So one of the triggers within Service Titan and House Call Pro as well is technician dispatched or on my way. Yeah, those are the triggers, right? So you click technician dispatched. Okay. One of the cool filters in Service Titan is we can see whether or not it's a member or a non-member already. Yeah. So we'll treat them differently. If it's a member, we're not going to do this. If it's a non-member, what we're going to do is we're going to hit technician dispatch. That's going to trigger a campaign in CHIIRP that's going to send out a text message. It's going to say, hey, first name. Obviously, going to replace that with their first name. Say, hey, first name. Your technician, John, is on his way. You should expect him in the next 45 minutes, whatever you want to say. This is fully customizable, whatever you say. And then you say, and then this is the magic, this simple line right here. By the way, if you'd like to save money on this call, ask our technician about our membership program. That's it. That's the magic right there. That one sentence is a sales framing strategy. What that does is it puts it in their head 45 minutes before the technician's even going to get there, or whatever it is. And it says, ask them about the membership. So they're kind of thinking about it. And then when the technician gets there, they ask, hey, how can I save money on this call? And now the technician doesn't have to remember to bring up memberships. Yeah. It's not an awkward conversation. He can just go, oh, perfect. Yep. What we can do is, this is our membership program. This is how you save money on this call. If you want to, yeah. And that right there, if you're just like, hey, did you ask that? Did you bring up memberships? Did you bring up memberships? And they're like, oh, I forgot. Instead you put it on the customer to do it.
Yeah. That's really smart. I think I had Marcus Sheridan on the podcast. Marcus Sheridan. Yeah. From, he wrote, They Ask You Answer. And he was talking about assignment selling, where, before a service visit or before an estimate, you're hitting the customer with like, hey, read this before we show up.
Yes. Framing.
Yeah. And so like, he's like, leading up to that appointment, it's like, your technician's on the way. the last thing is like, here's a bio about him or whatever. But that's really smart because at that, I mean, if you walk into the home and the homeowner is already prepared to sign up and
Oh, dude,
buy,
yeah.
it's a slam dunk.
90% of the sales job is done by that text message, right? And then if they
Yeah.
ask, if they ask, because it already says in there, ask about our membership program. If they ask, they're interested. Done.
Yeah.
They're not going to ask. If they're not interested in the membership program, they're not going to ask. So it's like I said, it's basically just the technician at that point taking an order, like saying, okay,
Yeah.
cool, let's get you going.
Yeah.
So
No, that's huge. So memberships, estimate, rehash, follow up. What are some other capabilities of CHIIRP that a lot of contractors utilize?
yeah, let's talk about the front end a little more on lead conversion, and then post job as well. So lead conversion obviously is a big thing. Speed to lead, or contacting the lead within a certain amount of time. I have a chart on one of my demonstrations on the website that shows how quickly a lead, and this is not just HVAC specific. This is leads in general. Um, we have extremely short attention spans as human beings, and they're getting shorter and shorter. TikTok, you can thank TikTok for that. We're getting way more, And so if somebody expresses interest in something, the chances of converting that lead is the highest in the first minute. So if they submit their information on your website, or let's say it's an Angie lead, a lot of people hate Angie leads, but a lot of people do have good success with Angie lead if you do it right. Or it's a Facebook lead or whatever it is. If we do not contact that lead within 1 minute, the conversion rate drops, and it drops dramatically. It'll actually cut in half within that first minute, and then down to 1/4 within 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And so by automating your outreach to that lead, you can contact the lead through text message within 30 seconds. So,
yeah,
you have Angie lead, you got five other contractors you're competing with to get that deal.
Yeah.
If you capture the lead and send a text message in 30 seconds, you're likely going to be the first person to contact that lead. So that's a big one. And then that automatically triggers the follow-up if they don't convert. Automatically puts all their data into into your CRM, so you're not having to double enter, the information.
Yeah.
A lot of cool stuff there. And then post job, people are using different systems for like review outreach and things like that to get reviews. We find that it is extremely effective if you're using the same conversation thread from the moment the lead became the lead all the way through the entire conversation, and then asking for the review from that same phone number in the same thread. You're basically automating, I call it, relationship automation. You're building a relationship with the customer throughout the whole job. And then when we reach out, say, thank you so much for doing work with us today, we really appreciate it, would you leave us a review?
Yeah.
It's all in that same thread. It's all from the same conversation. From the moment, let's say it's that Angie lead, right? From the moment they became an Angie lead, they get a text message, and you've communicated with them perfectly through the entire job. And then you're asking for the review all in that same thread. So that's, super powerful. And then from there, we get the review. We can even trigger things like, if they leave a 5-star review, send them a $10 Starbucks gift card, or, whatever we want to do, all automatic. We have guys that send out like gift baskets. They'll say, hey, if the invoice is more than $10,000, automate a gift basket with my logo on it, that kind of stuff. And then drop them into the annual nurture campaign that's going to send out your filter change reminders, your emails, leading up to the next appointment in a year.
Yeah.
So
no, that's really powerful stuff. So does CHIIRP, with your automations, do you have the capabilities? I know that CHIIRP has a web chat, right? You have like a chat.
Yeah, we do have a web chat.
What about like contact forms? Does it work for?
Yeah, we have contact forms. We have a form builder, or you can connect to existing forms you already have on your
like
website.
Gravity forms.
Yep, you can connect to those. Yep.
Nice.
So anywhere that somebody can submit information, we can capture. Facebook lead forms. Even if you have direct mail with QR codes on it, you can start a text message conversation right from those QR codes. Just think of, any way that a customer can submit information, we can capture that data and start the text message conversation.
See, that's really strong. I think the Facebook lead forms kind of stand out to me. Contact forms on sites, obviously naturally them and web chats are great. But we see a lot of times with lead forms on Facebook, because of how easy it is to submit it,
Oh yeah.
that by the time the contractor calls the customer's like, yeah, I don't remember doing
Yep.
that.
So, I talked about that windshield repair course.
Yeah.
That's how this whole thing started. Was I sold that course through lead forms on Facebook. I generated 250,000 lead forms on Facebook over a 4-year span. And by texting them immediately, we had a high conversion rate. That's the difference. People go, "Oh, those forms suck." Well, did you call them? Yeah, I called them, but it was like an hour later,
Yeah.
Well, that's the problem. It's not that the lead form sucks. It's that it's a top of funnel lead that
Yeah.
needs to be. It's like it's a seed in the ground with just barely starting to sprout. It's not ready.
Yeah.
And so you shouldn't say the lead sucks. It's a person raising their hand and saying, "Hey, I'm interested." You just need to know how to properly convert those leads. And if
Yeah.
you use automation to contact them quickly, you can maintain their attention, and then you can work on selling that lead. But it does take that extra effort.
Yeah. And I think that there's like generally just like a difference between a lead from Facebook and a lead from Google. Cause like Google is a reactive, like intent based program or platform. And so people are going there with a problem or a question. Whereas with Facebook, like that's more intrusive. Like you're stopping them. And if you somehow have done, your attention, interest, desire, action correctly and
Yep.
everything, and then they finally say, okay, and then they click on it. After they click on that, they're going to keep scrolling to the next video, to the next thing. And
yeah, think of it like this, right? There are pros and cons, right? You have Google, like you said, it's intent versus disruptive. That's the key. Those are the key phrases, right? Intent search versus disruptive marketing, right? Intent, I searched for it. I want this thing. If you look at the funnel, like right, if you're just listening to this, I have my hands up shaped like a funnel. Those guys are right at the bottom of the funnel, right? They're like ready to go because they're searching. They're actually thinking about this thing. If you're on Facebook, you're not thinking about HVAC. You're just on Facebook looking at whatever. And it's like, and then they see your ad. It's the same as if somebody had knocked on the door and disrupted their day, and said, "Hey, I'm here to sell you HVAC." Totally different approach. Doesn't mean that it's bad. It's just in a different part of the funnel. They're higher up. The benefit, though, of Facebook marketing or any kind of disruptive marketing is that you have a much broader audience to go after, and you can capture a much bigger market share because you're being proactive rather than reactive. You're not waiting for people to search. You're going to go out and search and find customers. It just takes more work to convert them, and using automation, you can do that. It just, there's just a different process. I really, it hurts my ears when somebody's like, "Oh, those leads suck. I can't," it's like, no.
yeah,
The lead doesn't suck. It's your conversion process. You got to figure out how to convert them better, because the benefit is that you're not fighting on Google. Everybody wants those leads. So you have to compete, and you pay a lot more for them because they're the best. But you can step out of that and go over to disruptive marketing and capture a much bigger part of the market if you know how to do it.
yeah. Well, and even when the lead sucks, people say the lead sucks because they called and then the person either didn't answer, didn't book, didn't do anything. But that is still a person who at one point in time raised their hand and signified, this is something that I'm interested in. Even if it was Google or Facebook or Angie, or they went somewhere on the internet and said,
I need this.
they've acknowledged that their current situation isn't desirable.
Yep.
And they've given you their contact information. And then what are you going to do with it? Just let it sit there and do nothing?
Yeah.
The worst thing you could do is, like worst case scenario, you put them into a nurture campaign and you're just peppering them with blog articles. And
yeah, you think about it like that. You go, okay, if you treat a Facebook lead the exact same as you will a Google lead, yes, you're going to say, yeah, these leads suck. But then you go, well, if I put in automation into play, okay, text message goes out, they don't respond to it. Cool. Tomorrow, another text message go out. A few days later, we'll follow up again. A few days later, we'll follow up again. And then all of a sudden, after a week or two, a response will pop back up. Hey, sorry, yeah, let's go ahead and get going on that, with zero work done on your end.
Yeah.
So instead of sitting there going, oh, these leads aren't converting, you've got, let's say you spend, a certain amount of money over a month and you generate, 100 leads or whatever it is, and you just let the automation take care of it. And then all of a sudden they start popping back up in the system. Oh, I'm ready to go. They aren't leads now. They're good leads.
Yeah.
You let the stuff do the work for you, and then they'll pop up as good leads.
Yeah. Well, insult. I always use fishing in.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Whenever I'm making a marketing analogy, I just love to talk about fishing.
Yep.
It's just like fishing. You go out there and you pick your spot on the pond.
Yep.
You got your hook and you got your bait and you throw it out into the water, reel it back in, and you don't catch anything. You're not going to say this hook sucks.
Yeah.
I'm going to cut it off and put a different hook on. No, you just throw it again, or you move spots and you throw it over there. Maybe you adjust the bait and then you move and you throw it again. Eventually, you're going to catch something. But if you just stand in the same spot and throw the same thing out there, and then you just say, this hook sucks. I'm done fishing.
Yeah, and then if you're really good, you get a net and you cast that really wide and you get really good. And that's where you know, as you get better at digital marketing, you can cast these much wider nets. And if you have systems in place to nurture those fish, they'll grow into deals, you know.
Yeah.
So
that's good stuff. Is there anything that we haven't covered yet that you wanted to chat about?
Man, I mean, we've gone over a lot of the benefits, talked about site chat. Message broadcast is probably one that, you know, is something that people really latch on to. That's when, you know, you have the ability, we have all these nurture, all these automations, right? But there's times where you just want to say, hey, I want to send out, you know, 100 messages to this group of people or whatever it is. Oh, I want to do a special or something like that. We can take when you sync it up with your system, we can pull all their data over. It automatically pulls it over, and you can pull up a list and you can send out a text message to 100 people. You can send it out to 300 people. I don't recommend doing much more than that because you have huge response rates with text messaging. So if you do like 100 a day over like a week, you'll see major responses. So that's a really cool feature within the system. But really what it comes down to it's like you're getting this, you know, and I guess it's kind of a sales pitch here, but when you do get on CHIIRP, and everybody's looking at automation. Everybody's looking for ways to be efficient. When you get it and have that automation expert in your back pocket, that's the key, because we're here to work together and partner with you to make sure that it's working for you. So
that's awesome. Well, Ryan, this has been a really cool episode. I've really enjoyed our conversation here. What's the best way for listeners out there to learn more and maybe schedule a demo?
So if you go on the website, there's buttons all over the website that say schedule a demo. You can choose. There's a bunch of videos. Actually, if you scroll down a little bit more, keep going. If you want to watch, I do recommend watching this right there. That's the interview I did with Dustin Miller. That's a really good interview where he reveals some really cool strategies if you want to watch that. And then, of course, book a demo with our team. You can go on there, choose a time. We usually take about 20 to 30 minutes to go through all the different things. And then if you decide it's a good fit, we get you onboarded. It takes about a week to onboard and get you all set up with your CRM and get everything connected. And then we install core campaigns that we have. The best part about this is you're not starting from scratch. We have already pre-built proven campaigns that automatically get built into your account. You can tweak them, you can add to them, you can take away, whatever you want to do. And then from there, you can build as many different automations as you want. We'll help you do it. If you have cool ideas like that membership thing and you go, oh, I want to build something like this, we just help you put it together. Really cool. And then once it's up and running, these things are working in the background 24/7. It's like having a follow-up assistant that she never calls in sick. She's never late. She does her work for you every day. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Ryan, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you all again for tuning in to another episode of the Smart HVAC Marketing Podcast. We will see you guys